Good afternoon. My name is Robert DeGaramore, and I'm recording this for Liberty University 530 American Christian Heritage. This is discussion one. I was asked to select one of the articles there. I selected Carla Pestana, The Quaker Executions versus as Myth and History. Um, I selected this one primarily because I'm kind of familiar with what's going down in English history during this same time period. We have a lot of folks coming to the Massachusetts Bay Colony between 1620 and say 1640-ish. You know, by 1660-ish, when all this went down, there's about 1,800 people that are living in this new colony. Um, I think it's part of a bigger picture here, and you need to see it on a grandiose scale, is what was happening in England, because obviously this is a colony of England. All sorts of religious dissension going on. 1649, Charles I gets his head cut off, primarily because of religious purposes. We have a civil war. We have Oliver Cromwell, who is Puritan in his ideologies, taking over the reins of the government. Um, a lot of stuff going down. And then the reestablishment of the Stuarts on the throne through King Charles, and King Charles saying we need some religious toleration here, and which primarily put an end to anyone getting executed in the New England colony for religious intolerance or religious purposes. Okay, Carla Pestanada's article, her premise is she's trying to take two different sides of a story and revise them through history and actually showing us through revisions of how they've arrived in the 21st century as as our history that we can interpret. Um, she starts out with her premises. She's talking about the religious intolerization and was it myth or reality? And I'm kind of leaning. She was thinking it was reality. Her sources are uh, Quaker blogs and families that are proud of their heritage as New England Quakers. You know, these are through their family struggles, they found solace in what it says here in turning their ancestors into martyrs. And quite frankly, they're pretty good propagandists too. And she goes on to say on the more Whig scholarly ideologies via led by George Bancroft in the mid 19th century about how um, the Puritans were kind of justified. And then they come back with a progressive histories. Um, and she threw a name out there, Lewis Parrington, who is progressive, and he's basically saying it did happen, and it wasn't right, and it's kind of a critical thinking logic, not critical race theory logic. Anyway, but the point is through this revisionist and reinterpretation of the facts, and then you mix in some opinions in there, and then you have like 250 years of history. And she's bringing that, like, how do you segregate what's myth and what's reality? And she's kind of bringing it all together toward a conclusion that her synopsis is going to be somewhere along the lines that yes, it did happen, but the propagandists took over, and then the apologists took over, and then the progressives took over to come up with, kind of this interpretation that we have today. It is a fascinating story, if you ask me. If you look real close at what went down, um, this happened in the United States. I mean, well, obviously colonial England, but we're having people executed because of religious intoleration and their beliefs. And if you really look myopically, their beliefs are kind of down the same line. So it's being interesting. It was a great article to read, and this is way too short for discussion, but I thank you for your time.